Tzu Chi in Indonesia heads to quake-torn Aceh to provide relief as well as conduct a disaster assessment. And we see how young people can be an important asset in caring for the elderly population. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Marilee Shioda. Thank you for joining us. With a string of earthquakes happening around the world, Tzu Chi volunteers have mobilized to assist those in need. In Indonesia, Medan Tzu Chi volunteers rally their troops and gather their aid supplies to send help to quake-torn Aceh's Pidie Jaya Regency, which was struck by the 6.5 magnitude earthquake on December 7th. Volunteers mobilized immediately to conduct a preliminary survey to further understand the needs of the area. On December 7th, a 6.5 magnitude earthquake struck Indonesia, with the epicenter nearing Aceh's Pidie Jaya Regency. Tzu Chi volunteers from Medan mobilized to prepare relief aid. Food supplies included rice, water, instant noodles, and more. Meanwhile, medical supplies such as wheelchairs and medicine were also included.
Pengobatan kami sudah persiapkan 1 hari kemarin.
We have prepared medicine and other relief supplies. Currently, we're doing one final check before heading out to the disaster zone.
With Medan being approximately 400 kilometers away from Pidie Jaya Regency, it takes 10 hours to get there by car. While the aid supplies are heading over, team members are also being called upon, especially chiropractors and anesthesiologists.
Besides food supplies, we're also sending medical assistants, nurses, and chiropractic doctors.
As Tzu Chi volunteers and the aid supplies finally reached the hard-hit zone on the morning of the 9th, the first stop of their journey is the local hospital, where a majority of the patients are waiting for the chiropractic department. Seeing a need to act, team of doctors immediately jump in.
I'm very thankful for the team, including Tzu Chi's assistance. I hope that the surgeries go smoothly.
Meanwhile, Tzu Chi volunteers act as companions and listen to the patients' worries. They also distribute medical supplies to a few of the nearby hospitals.
Bantuan logistik medis.
We visited a few hospitals and a few community health clinics to distribute medical supplies. They were very much in need, especially syringes.
Rumah sakit atau puskesmas itu yang membutuhkan.
Besides medical distributions, volunteers also hand out aid supplies in areas where disaster victims gathered. Among the buildings severely damaged was Al-Aziziyah, an Islamic school. The main building is tilted and the students had to gather at a pagoda to continue their studies.
We hope charity organizations or other kind-hearted people can help our school to return to normal as soon as possible.
After this thorough assessment, Tzu Chi volunteers have a better idea of the area's needs and will be able to further offer more customized relief aid in the days ahead. It has been 5 years and 9 months since the 3/11 earthquake occurred. The hard-hit quake zone of Japan's Iwate Prefecture, Ofunato City, is recovering well, and about 80% of the residents have moved out of temporary shelters and into new housing. As it's nearing the end of the year, Tzu Chi volunteers from Tokyo visited their old friends. Tzu Chi volunteers need to travel for 10 hours to get from Tokyo to northeastern Iwate Prefecture. When they reach their destination, volunteers are still quite spirited as they look forward to visiting the disaster victims at their new home. It's been 5 years since the 3/11 earthquake that struck this region. Ofunato City has recovered about 80%, and 29 households live at this new complex. Once volunteers arrive at the meeting room, they drink a bowl of homemade miso soup, which warms their hearts. Some of the residents even remembered to bring their bamboo coin bank back to make a donation.
We have received help from many people, no matter if they are Christians or Buddhists. It's been a cross-religious exchange.
Volunteers pay a visit to those who still live in the temporary shelters and invite them to the year-end blessing ceremony, which is also the first of its kind this year that Tzu Chi has held in northeastern Japan. This blessing ceremony is not unlike a reunion of old friends. During the event, clips of Tzu Chi's disaster relief work throughout the year was played.
Those memories when recalled are still quite scary. I can't help but cry. I can feel the refugees' pain.
Tzu Chi helps in international disaster relief and even helping out in countries affected by wars. I'm very shocked.
Having survived a similar disaster event, the hearts of these residents are warmed in knowing how blessed they truly are. Tzu Chi's Taoyuan chapter recently hosted a year-end blessing ceremony for the local community residents at the Taoyuan Jingsi Hall. Among the participants, a male volunteer who is from Malaysia brought his whole family to attend the event, as he felt thankful that he had avoided 2 disasters over the past 2 years. A female volunteer also felt grateful because her mother was inspired to perform in the sutra adaptation alongside with her.
At the community's year-end blessing ceremony in Taoyuan, Zhang Mingli never thought that she could perform in the sutra adaptation with her mother on the same stage.
We saw each other when we were during the first practice session. When I saw my mother, I was very happy and asked her how come she was also here.
A Tzu Chi sister told me that it was very easy. I thought, okay, I will give it a try.
The support of volunteers, Zhang's mother works very hard to learn her parts. She has also invited her family to attend the year-end blessing ceremony.
It's great to see my family and relatives gather here.
Huang Genyun, who comes from Malaysia, brings his whole family to attend the ceremony. When he attended his wife's certification ceremony 2 years ago, he didn't get on the TransAsia plane, which crashed into the river. This year, he also escaped the February 6th earthquake in Tainan because his wife was ill, and he canceled his trip to Tainan.
When this happened for the second time, I was wondering how each time I dodged a bullet. Over the past 2 years, I escaped a plane crash and an earthquake. It must be some great causes. I think one good turn deserves another.
As a year-end blessing ceremony is hosted at the Taoyuan Jingsi Hall, some interesting activities are also provided for the attendees to experience, including some games, the production of natural enzymes, and Jingsi food items.
I can develop good friendships with everyone here. Normally, we meet people only when they come upstairs. Now we can form good affinities with each other here.
We can start to enlighten my son at this event as we throw a seed to him, which inspires him to join Tzu Chi's activities frequently.
While everyone gathers at the Jingsi Hall to welcome the coming year, they are also developing good friendships with one another at the same time.
In our continuing series about aging, we begin a new report to see how young people can become an important force to care for the elderly. In Germany, a new trend has emerged where young people are living amongst seniors. Local Taiwanese scholars say there are many business opportunities which target the elderly, and such individuals could provide solutions to many industries currently lacking staff. Elderly people move slowly and speak with a lisp.
Elderly people have a lot of wrinkles on their face, and their hair is gray.
When retirement comes, my body in fact actually functions quite well.
Most people don't know much about us. They just think we want to collect some travel-related information.
What we need now the most are 3C products.
According to the domestic newspaper survey regarding stereotypes of the elderly, 40% of respondents didn't properly understand the elderly. In fact, 90% of elderly people are actually healthy, so providing them with activities and support is most important.
Most people only think that the elderly are sick and poor and lie in bed with dementia, or being incapacitated with no ability to care for themselves. But this is not the case at all, as I believe the most important thing is making the elderly happy.
Born in 1951, those 65 years of age are actually quite knowledgeable, and after experienced better economic conditions, this generation is better adjusted, healthier, and younger.
In view of the difficult times startups have attracting young people in the job market, along with baby boomers entering retirement age, how to pair young people with the elderly will become an important social asset.
Middle-aged and elderly people have a wealth of experience and qualifications, And if they can still aid our country's long-term development, I think we should use this approach.
大家都是生命共同体，应该要用这种方式来看。
Discussions about how young people and elderly people can work together. Chen Xinnan has been operating a scooter repair shop for years. He built his business from scratch, but worried that young people wouldn't be interested in this traditional industry. But fortunately, his son is willing to take over the business.
Now traditional industries have really been in decline because of long work hours. My youngest son studied mechanical repairs and said that if no one took over the business, he would be here to do it.
I wanted to reduce the burden on my father, as I thought there should be a slow transition so he doesn't have to work so long.
In addition, Kaohsiung's Qisan has a bread and breakfast provider who gives room to young people in exchange for work. These jobs, however, aren't focused on cleaning or other labor, but instead going into the community and chatting with elders.
We young people going to talk to elders can help build up warm sentiments between us.
The advent of an advanced society has led the Workforce Development Agency to encourage young people to target industries such as caring for the elderly, which promises to see a great deal of growth in the future, as well as a means of serving the community.
Now for some sad news. An elderly volunteer in Pingdong, Tang Shaofan, has passed away at 90 years old. He was transferred to Hualien City Hospital on December 10th because of a stomach cancer, and he passed away on the afternoon of December 11th. He was surrounded by his family and Tzu Chi brothers and sisters as he passed. Let's hear more about the wonderful life of Mr. Tang.
Tzu Chi volunteer, 90-year-old Tang Shaofan, has passed away due to stomach cancer. His family and Tzu Chi brothers and sisters were there to give the Buddha's blessing at his passing.
While he was alive, he tried to help others as much as he could as a humanitarian volunteer. He thought that his body would no longer be needed after he passed away. So he hoped to donate his body to thank Tzu Chi and save someone's life in the future.
Mr. Tang joined the military when he was 14 years old and came to Taiwan with the Nationalist Forces in 1949. In 1969, he married his wife in an arranged marriage. His wife joined Tzu Chi early, and after several years, Mr. Tang himself became a volunteer at the age of 75.
This is something that you have to want to do yourself. You have to want to practice the lessons that you learn. And if you do that, then volunteering is not a burden at all.
This is Mr. Tang assisting at a disaster relief site in Sichuan, China, when he was 82 years old, full of energy and smiles. He was a model for other volunteers.
He has been very active and involved. From early morning, he has been helping everyone out. Helping with computers and photography, he has been helping wherever he can.
Mr. Tang began writing memoirs. Volunteer Chen Mei-yi is now working to publish them.
I know that more than anything, his greatest wish would be for us at Tzu Chi to continue our missions the best we can.
Although Mr. Tang has passed away, his spirit remains in the hearts of his Tzu Chi brothers and sisters. With smiles just like the one he shared, his friends and family will continue to help others and live a life of wisdom.
In Malaysia, Tzu Chi care recipient Kong Fong, who was suffering from neurofibromatosis, recently passed away. Her condition caused the skin to develop small tumors all over the body. Though her physical appearance might have discouraged some people from coming into contact with her, she was loved by Tzu Chi volunteers and her few close friends. Even in her last days, Tzu Chi volunteers were with her to accompany her. Malaysia Tzu Chi care recipient Kong Fong has passed away from cancer, and Tzu Chi volunteers are here to say their final goodbye. Kong Fong's connection with Tzu Chi began in 1995 when her mother was still alive. Volunteers from Tzu Chi would come visit the two of them every holiday and send their love and care to the two Tzu Chi care recipients.
我歡喜你哋㗎，你哋入嚟嗰陣時啊，我都好歡喜啊。
This friendship didn't end when the mother died in 2003. Volunteers then continued to care for Kong Fong just as they would family members. Their journey has lasted for 22 years. Kong Fong has tumors the size of grapes all over her body as she has neurofibromatosis. Her mother also suffered from the same condition.
今年5月开始呢，她就生病了哦。
She became sick in May. A big tumor swelled up by her hip. It's been a long 7 months, and she has suffered. Her god sister has also been here to take care of her.
真的是，她很辛苦了。
Kong Fong was hospitalized for 4 months during her last days on Earth. During her memorial service, a patient from the hospital whom she befriended also came to say her goodbyes.
I wanted to see her one last time. She was a really good person. I can't believe I won't be able to see her anymore. Tzu Chi volunteers visit her twice a week to listen to her and sing songs for her.
Though she succumbed to sickness in the end, she was not without the companionship of some good friends. Quezon is a very lively city because it has the largest population in the Philippines. However, there are also many shanty towns with the poor often connecting power wires to their homes illegally. This sometimes leads to fires burning down houses. About 9 years ago, one such area burned down and Tzu Chi volunteers were there to distribute aid. Unexpectedly, 9 years later, the same thing happened to the same community, leading to yet another visit from Tzu Chi to offer help.
A fire broke out on November 13th and burned down 220 houses in Quezon. The ruins were quickly cleared away, and Tzu Chi volunteers went to see the victims in shelters. 9 years ago, at about the same time, Tzu Chi volunteers came to deliver relief supplies for the same reason. Their previous encounter allowed them to form bonds with locals.
这个地方很特别，也跟慈济特别有缘。
This is a very special place and has an affinity with Tzu Chi because in 2007, about 9 years ago, a fire broke out here before Christmas. Christmas is an important holiday in the Philippines. After the fire, there wasn't any group willing to help these people. Since it was near Christmas, I asked our volunteers to help the victims. When we came and surveyed the place, we then realized people here live truly difficult lives.
People again received rice, blankets, and other daily supplies from Tzu Chi. They still remember Tzu Chi volunteers' good deeds from the past.
We want to thank Tzu Chi for always helping us. When Typhoon Kesana came, volunteers came to help Filipinos in Marikina. When the fire broke out in our community in 2007, the volunteers came to give us relief goods, and they came again today in 2016. We really appreciate Tzu Chi Foundation. We hope they can be our side forever.
Time between the two fires seemed to have helped forge a bond between the two sides, which is as deep as ever. Just like before, Tzu Chi volunteers still hope fire victims won't be hungry or lonely before Christmas.
In Australia, Tzu Chi volunteers from Melbourne recently held this year's second free clinic to provide medical assistance to low-income families and refugees. Volunteers also grasped this chance to share Jing's aphorisms with the patients and encourage them to donate money to help the less fortunate.
Tzu Chi volunteers from Melbourne collaborate with the Community Health Centre to host the second free clinic this year. In addition to dental treatment, acupuncture and CPR training are also provided at this event.
Tzu Chi, is that correct? Yeah, compassion and relief. That's just beautiful because it reflects, I guess, what you're doing. They gave me a beautiful little line that says, to appreciate others is to respect yourself.
Besides low-income residents, refugees from different countries also come here to seek medical assistance. Ali, who escaped from Syria to Australia, was informed of the clinical information by a school which Tzu Chi is serving to. He has saved some money to help the needy, thanks volunteers' dedication.
That's beautiful. Yeah, they doing good. Every doctor, every here, very, very nice to try to help as well. Yeah, and we can put it to tell around the community, friend, cousin, you know.
Volunteers help pick up the patients who live far away from the clinic. As for the Vietnamese seniors who don't speak English, volunteers patiently communicate with them through a translation software. All of the volunteers are happily taking the challenges they are facing.
Congratulations are in order for students at Tzu Chi University of Science and Technology who received 5 medals from the 2016 Seoul International Invention Fair. The inventions included a needle cover, an IV device, exercise equipment, as well as a glass vial opener.
At hospitals, not only patients are scared of receiving the shot, but medical staff are also afraid of being pricked, which may lead to infection. But are the medical safety needles now safe enough?
This is commonly used in hospitals. We also use this in class. When students try to cover the needle, normally the cover may be here and the finger here. So when they do this, they are likely to get hurt by the needle.
Teachers and students from the nursing department of the Tzu Chi University of Science and Technology have invented a safe needle to avoid clinical pinprick issues, which allows users to cover the needle safely while withdrawing the needle. It helps reduce medical staff's risk of getting infection when they discard the needle.
We figured out all these ideas to solve the problems associated with clinical care for our patients, medical staff, as well as the patient's family. The outcome of the invention can be applied to our teachings.
Besides designing the needle for medical staff, these students also invented a special device for the patients which helps avoid the backflow of blood in IVs and reduce their pain when they are receiving an intravenous injection.
The fluid may flow into our body through this device, but when the arm is raised up and when the blood is flowing over here, the valve inside may become tight so that the blood may not flow through the tube.
Assistant Professor Wang Dingyao also led his students to invent special items for pull-up training and 7 minutes exercise. They are more useful now because they are integrated with the furniture.
The 7-minute exercise is a very effective way for exercise, but normally this exercise requires different types of equipment, so we integrate different functions of the equipment. This will allow people to complete the 7-minute exercise at home.
With all of these thoughtful inventions, these teachers and students have received 1 gold medal, 3 silver medals, and 1 bronze medal at the 2016 Seoul International Invention Fair.
Annually, the Genesis Social Welfare Foundation will hold a year-end banquet for the disadvantaged. Though it's nearing the event, the organization has only raised 20% of the funds needed. Thus, a group of kindergartners pitched in to make glutinous rice dumplings for charity sale in hopes of raising enough money to help. We will leave you with these images at the end of the program. Thank you for joining us.